You're listening to the audio portion of Workshop Wednesdays. Workshop Wednesdays is a free live discussion about topics affecting accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. You can join the ABO group in Facebook to participate live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just search for ABBO in Facebook. This podcast is brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you will learn, grow, and build a thriving bookkeeping practice. We have hundreds of lessons with almost every aspect of the industry. Start your free month today at Schoolofbookkeeping.com. Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday, casual conversations for serious workflows, brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where it's all about learning QuickBooks your way. And for those of you joining us live and noticing that there's something a little bit different about Rachel, you're right. Because Yusef is joining us instead. Rachel, of course, we're in the throngs of the end of school activities for as kids are graduating and moving on to the next level and those types of things. Rachel, having children of that age, had some other obligations to join us today. So Yusef was joining us anyway, so he's now today's co-host. Hi, Yusef. How are you?
Good. How are you, Dan? How's everyone?
Very good, very good. And your company is Crafting Clouds.
Yes.
And you had joined us a couple weeks ago as we were talking about advanced pricing inside of trying to do advanced pricing inside of QuickBooks Online. And so for those of you that might be like, wait a minute, something's familiar about that guy.
Yeah.
And I wanted Yusef to come on today because the topic that we're going to be talking about that kind of feeds into, again, that same narrative or that same discussion when you are moving from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online and you have an idea that you're going to be emailing things out of your QuickBooks. And a very common point of feedback, I guess, is probably the nicest way to say it, is the from address, right? Because when you email out of when a application emails out of that application on your behalf, that kind of spreads, spans both sides of the fence of convenience and is the recipient going to get my email?
Yes.
Have you experienced that? No, you and I kind of are in the same path in that you worked at Method CRM and now you're out on your own. But at Method, did that sort of thing come up? Because Method can also send emails out on your behalf as well, right?
Yeah, it did come up. We've had several cases where, either the emails wouldn't deliver or they would end up in the spam folder. And it was just usually a case with support, and usually it would get resolved within that same day or within the week if it was a little bit more complex. Yeah.
And the general idea is that something that is emailing and looks like it came from you, but did not come from your outbox, smells fishy.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that with a PH.
Yeah.
Smells fishy because email filters, spam filters, junk.
They don't recognize the email, right?
Right. It that's how bad actors get a hold of you, right? Is they send an email on behalf of somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And to the recipient, it looks like it came from whoever, who they know. Yeah. But in reality, it actually came from some system somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so the common situation with regards to QuickBooks is emailing out of invoices so that you can get paid. Now, we talked about this last week with Rachel when we were talking about the emailing of invoices and recurring payments and those types of things. And that's wonderful if, as long as the intended recipient, your customer, can receive it. Because if they never get it, then of course they're never going to respond to it. So inside of QuickBooks in general, you have a couple ways that you can send invoices or email anything out of QuickBooks. But I had a client that brought something to my attention that I'm going to go on a record now. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because we're always learning.
Yeah, always learning.
The limits of things. And their situation is that they had a recurring billing. They had 3,000 customers each and every month that got emailed their invoice to either take care of and pay, or just for the recording, or I'm sorry, just so that they would be able to receive their receipt of their services through the invoices. That typically was on the first of the month, and so 3,000 emails needed to go out on the first of the month, which you can set up recurring transactions inside of QuickBooks, and those get automatically sent through QuickBooks Online. Come to find out, there is actually a limitation of per day of the number of emails that QuickBooks Online is able to send out on your behalf. And because the first of the month came and not everybody got their email.
Yeah.
So they started hearing from their, reaching out to their customers like, hey, why haven't you paid your emails? Like, well, I never got it. And so that started the whole process of them trying to determine, well, what's really going on here. They had a nice long discussion with QuickBooks and support, and escalated the case, and comes to find out that 800 is the daily limit for QuickBooks to send out emails on your behalf.
And is that a hard limit? Like, there's no way for them to pay a little bit extra to go beyond that?
Yeah, they were already on QuickBooks Online Advanced.
Yeah.
So that would have been a limitation for them. They were not presented with any other option. So this is now a surprise to everybody, right? Oh my goodness! Well, who knew that there was a limit? Now I don't know if that limit's going to increase. That's as of today, and I don't know if that's really a hard, fast limit. But that's just the answer that they were given.
So kind of like you're stuck with just doing 800 a day, and there's nothing that could happen at this point.
So their workaround was, instead of sending them automatically each and every month, which is nice when you have automation to take care of a lot of these things, is they would send a batch of 800 5 days prior to the first, and then the next day another 800, and then the next day another 800. So now that just kind of soils the beauty of setting things up to be automated when you have to manually be part of all of that, right?
You got to remember each day that you have to go back and send another 800, or is it something that you just set in QuickBooks Online Advanced and it knows for the next 4 days or the next 3 days they have to put a set amount?
You can set the day that things are actually scheduled and whatnot, but they in their particular case, they didn't want to go through the trouble of picking the 800 that they were going to, because as I was talking to them, I was like, wait a minute, there might be an alternative solution here. And that's when I reached out to you and my account representative over at Method, knowing that this kind of now falls into this bucket of what happens when you move from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, and there's a workflow that or a feature or functionality that you are using on regularly on in QuickBooks Desktop that now has a problem inside of QuickBooks Online. Now,
Yeah.
just as a point of clarity, in desktop, they were having the same problem because desktop would only allow them to do 40 emails
Oh,
at a time. Now they
yeah.
could do more than 40 in a day,
Yeah.
but they could only, because they were using their Outlook, they were integrating with Outlook, and it would time out if they did more than a batch of 40 per day
Yeah.
at a time, right?
Yeah.
Because of the way that it integrates, it had to launch QuickBooks Desktop, had to launch Outlook Desktop, create those emails, and then send them.
Yeah.
If there was more than 40, that was just too much to ask the computer to do at any given time. Right?
Yeah. So
now
experience
there's
is still not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going to from 40 to 800 was an improvement,
Mhm.
but it's still not the promised land of I don't have to send these emails at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, the from address is this QuickBooks at notifications.intuit.com, which is not really the from address, but it would say the recipient, the sender's first and last name on
Mhm.
the email address. So
Mhm.
there was a lot of less than ideal circumstances when it came to that. So I had reached out to you and my account representative over at Method, and I'm like, does Method solve this problem for them? So could you talk a little bit about what Method can do in this particular instance with regards to sending out of emails out of QuickBooks or out of Method?
Yeah. So I first want to start off by saying that I really appreciate and commend the product team and the developers at Method that are constantly reminding themselves to build the platform with as much flexibility as possible since day one. They've always said that the way that we're going to really show value to our customers is if we make this platform extremely flexible, or as flexible as it can be. So, like we did on the previous stream, where we're talking about advanced pricing and how we can leverage QuickBooks Online and Method to get you advanced pricing and how flexible it was there, they apply that same train of thought when it came to emailing out of Method too. And what I really love is that their pricing is very, very straightforward. There's no hidden costs, no nothing like that. They tell you exactly what the pricing is, and I'll actually just share with you. If I could share my screen,
Yep.
I'll just go ahead and just show you what the pricing is. So, can you see my screen?
Yes. Now,
okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay, so this is Method's email settings. So in Method's email settings, you'll see right at the bottom here, it says pricing. Now, their pricing, this only comes up if you're using their Method servers to send out a Method, which I'll get to in a second, and why you would choose them over your own custom server. Okay. So if you're using their Method servers, they give you 5,000 emails per month. That's it. If you're going to send more than 5,000 emails, which in your case, Dan, your client is going to be using more than 5,000 emails per month.
Right, because what would also be part of that 3,000 would be follow-up emails, reminder emails, those types of things that can be automated and sent out of QuickBooks. Yeah,
exactly. And it doesn't matter what type of email you send. So as you know, there's two different types of emails, right? There's transactional and marketing. So this is not, it doesn't care about the email type that you're sending. It's just saying any email that you send out of Method applies to this $5,000 email. Imagine it was if it was $5,000, then I wouldn't be here right now.
Exactly.
5,000 emails per month. That's the threshold, right? Now, anything above 5,000 emails per month is really nominal. Look how small this cost is. 0.0009 cents USD per email. So let's put your client into exercise. You said that they were going to send 8,000 emails at the first of the month, right?
Yeah, I mean the 3,000, but they figured probably about 8,000 emails will probably go out in any given month, whether it's transactional or reminders or those types of things.
Yeah. So let's say that because, naturally, like you said, there could be follow-up emails and stuff like that, right? So instead of saying 8,000, let's put it up to even 10,000. All right. So I'm going to say 10,000 emails, right? We know that 5,000 of those emails are free, right?
Yeah.
So now we have 5,000. We're going to multiply that point 0.0009. It's $4.50 extra per month. That is like
breaking the bank on it.
Oh my God. You know what I mean? Now, I want to show you something. If we were to compare this to MailChimp, I'm going to show you MailChimp's pricing. MailChimp is, by the way, the leading email marketing tool out there. Okay. And they're also owned by Intuit.
Right.
Now, their pricing model is a little bit different. They actually price by the number of contacts.
Right.
So they say, oh, no. We actually care about how many different contacts you plan on sending to. Because if you're planning to send on, let's say, 1,500 contacts, there's a price associated to that, right? And for me, I'm in Canada, so the price here is showing 62 Canadian a month. And it sends up to 1,800 emails. So they're giving you a limit on the number of emails as well as the number of contacts, right? 62, I would say more or less it's about $50 American per month. Yeah. So when you compare this pricing over to Method's, it's an obvious difference, right? Method doesn't care about the contacts. All Method cares about is how many emails are you sending out per month? We're giving you 5,000 for free. Okay, this is how much you're going to be paying for each additional email. That's it. Simple as that. No fluff, no other extra considerations. Very straightforward.
And because this is now part of your overarching customer relationship management software, there's things that you can do with those emails, right?
Oh, yeah, it's incredible. Like for one of my clients, what we do is they're a general contracting company. So when an estimate gets when an estimate is sent out to the customer, so it hasn't been approved yet, I built for them an automation based off of a specific cadence that they can define. So whether it's a week, and then after a week, it's another 3 days after that, or 2 days, whatever the case. They get to define that cadence, and they're able to define exactly the email copy that they want to send out. And it automatically generates this email reminder system as soon as the sales rep sends out that initial email out to the client. So those emails now feed into this 5,000 counter right here, right? But they're considered transactional emails, right? But again, now you're able to leverage the power of Method CRM to perform these automations, which feed back into your email pricing.
And what kind of traceability or tracking do you have? Because I think that's part of the biggest challenge, especially and when we're talking about emailing out of QuickBooks, really cool functions can be tied to that because you can see when the email was sent, you can see when the email was received, if it was opened. Those are really cool things that you wouldn't want to lose.
Yeah.
If you were using some other way of sending out your customer facing emails.
Yeah. So that is a key factor. And that is available, again, if you're using send emails from the Method servers, okay? If you decide to go through your own custom server, you will not have access to what we call the email queue. So if I go ahead and I hit view all emails, right here, this is my test account. So it's always going to be just like test emails that I've sent in the past and stuff like that. But the status column shows you if it's been opened, right? If it's been clicked, you see right here, it shows clicked right over there. And if it was bounced, it'll show if it was bounced as well, right? You can go in here and you can actually get further details on what's happened, right? So processed, pending, it says unverified domain. So it's telling me that my domain that I've set up, that I haven't set up yet, with Method is unverified, which can affect deliverability. And we can get to that in a sec if you'd like.
Yeah.
And then it shows it's been delivered and then finally opened. And it gives me the corresponding timestamps as well for that. So to answer your question, yes, we do offer that exact same common feature that you would see in a lot of email marketing platforms.
And then you can set up more further customizations based on those events as to what you might want to do in addition to that.
Exactly. So
I guess MailChimp calls it like a journey, right? Like you're able to see the journey that your customer or your potential customer is taking.
Yes.
You send them this email or this series of emails, and the third email they decide to act on something. That's part of their journey, and you can make decisions and then get some reporting based off of how many times do I have to touch a customer or potential contact before they become a customer or before they decide to act, right?
Yes. So the cool thing is that in order for me to see this table, right, and all this information on who opened and who clicked my emails that were sent out, I had to go into the account settings of the platform, and I had to go here, and there was a few clicks to get here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the good thing is that Method gives you full customizability around this table. What I mean by that is, if you want to bring this table to any one of your apps, let's say you have a specific app that you want to see this email queue in, we can drag and drop it anywhere you'd like. It's not something that is locked into the account settings, and you can report back on it, like you said. So we can actually go ahead and we can refer to that email information to define that customer's journey. And there's much more. I mean, the fact that Method directly integrates with QuickBooks,
right?
You can now leverage QuickBooks data to source out your email campaigns automatically. You don't even have to go in and create the email campaigns manually one by one anymore. We could, if you said, hey, Yusef or Dan, I want to be able to create an email campaign for customers that haven't shopped with us in the past 3 months. Great. All we have to do is pull a search history of all of your customers with an invoice that haven't had an invoice in the past 3 months, and it'll automatically generate a contact list for your email campaign. Right? Awesome. Now that requires some customization, but it's not a lot of work.
Certainly doable.
Yeah.
Now, the from address. So talk a little bit about the options there. So the cool functions are if Method sends out on your behalf, but how does it come through how does the recipient receive it?
Okay, so basically, I'm going to start off with all the various email setup options and the things to consider. And then I'm going to give you my final recommendation, being in this platform and building solutions for business owners for the past decade now. Okay. And this is what I recommend for everyone. So you basically have, if we go back to the communications, I'll just show you this quickly. So we first start off by sending emails from Method servers or set up my own custom server, and they give you the most notable ones, Google, Microsoft, or Outlook. And then if you have a specific email provider that's neither of these, then you'd go into here and you'd set it up through here. Now, if you choose send email from Method servers, that's great because now you've just increased the deliverability of your emails, because now you're simplifying the process of emailing, where you're just relying on email servers to send it to you versus having to now go and communicate to your own server, which is now just another vulnerability in your email process. So you're shortening that process and making it very, very simple by saying, let me just use Method servers to send my emails. Great. Because Method knows have a good handle on their servers, and it's been proven that their deliverability is really, really good, I would always recommend using Method servers. Now, the only time I would recommend using a custom server is if you have strict email rules for your company. Maybe you have, and what I would say is, even if sometimes companies have an in-house administrator, I would say, that handles the email rules that go in and out of their company server. If that's the case, I would highly recommend you set up your own custom server, because we might not be able to fit your security criteria. And if that's the case, you always have this option. But
so, point of clarification. Now, if you choose this option where you're going to be using the company email server, you're not then limited by the number of emails and the charges that go out,
exactly,
but you lose the traceability of these emails because it is essentially going out of your outbox.
correct, exactly. So now we have no visibility into who opened or who clicked or anything like that. So you lose that visibility. But then the pro is that you don't have to worry about paying for any emails, because you're just relying on your own custom server to send those emails on your behalf.
Now, is there a limitation at one time to be able to send that? Like
That's up to so what you said earlier in this stream about how Outlook had some sort of rate limit, that's something you would need to, at your own time and discretion, have to figure out. Because if you're using a custom email provider and you know that they have rate limits, it's going to do the same thing here.
Got it.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about, though, so going back to your original question, because I want to lead into this, was that from address. So you'll notice I have 3 email setup options: method servers with no authenticated domain, method servers with an authenticated domain, and then a custom server, right? And we kind of loosely went into the pros and cons for a custom server.
Mm-hmm.
So method servers with no authenticated domain. So if I go back into here and I click send emails from method servers, notice how this authenticated domain section just popped up.
Mm-hmm.
This is only an option when you choose this option. If I go to set up my own custom server, that option's gone. Now, why would you want to authenticate your domain? Because if you don't, your emails your name is gonna appear there, but it's gonna show that notifications at mail.method.me, which you probably don't want. And that could also lead into your email going into spam or even being blocked. Maybe the person, they automatically see this email and their email settings automatically blocks it and they never receive the email, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you do authenticate your domain, then you will see your name as well as your domain right beside it, which that's what you would want, right? Then
so it decreases the likelihood that email would get blocked or not viewed.
You're covering all your corners, because now you're increasing your deliverability by using method servers. But then on top of that, you're authenticating your domain, which means that when it's sent through method servers, your recipient is going to receive it as your own company email address, not that notifications at mail.method.me, which is going to increase your probability of it actually landing in the right place.
So that option of method servers with the authentic domain is kind of like the best of both worlds, where you get the deliverability that you're looking for, and then the functionality that you could do with the traceability of those emails after the fact, which is
absolutely,
that's the Hannah Montana setting, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I recommend, and that's what I had here as my recommended option, right? Is just the method servers with authenticated domain. You want to do this. This is for all my clients. They all do this process. I tell them don't even bother with anything else unless they have a strict email policy in their company. Right. Then they have to go with custom server, right? But if they don't and they're just using Gmail or Outlook, it's recommended. This is the way to go. Yeah, you're paying a little bit of money, but as you saw, the cost was nominal.
Now I'm gonna hijack your screen share here because I wanted to mention in QuickBooks Online Advanced, you have all of these workflow automations that you can set up. There's built-in templates, and a lot of them have to deal with notifications, which will either send a notification to a user inside of QuickBooks, or they will send a notification via email, which could be a customer facing, could be a vendor facing, or anything like that. But these these workflow templates are there, but they're only available in the highest tiered version of QuickBooks Online Advanced, which is now, come July, is going to be $275 a month, just for this functionality. Now, incorporating a lower level of QuickBooks Online with something like Method, this again gives you the functionalities even in a non-advanced version of QuickBooks.
Exactly. And
Go ahead.
I think another benefit is that you save on that recurring cost, right? Which I always advise all my clients is our end goal is that we should try to minimize your operating costs as much as possible. If we can completely remove that cost, let's do it. Because with Method, it allows your technical landscape be significantly reduced, and therefore your overhead cost is significantly reduced, and you're not dealing with that much additional overhead with Method, because a lot of the work that's being done in Method today for a lot of these business owners is really just a one-time fixed cost for customization. After that, it's there and it's yours. It's
Right.
exactly what you're looking for.
And so, the return on that setup investment ends up paying for itself at a certain point
Exactly.
once you have these automations or functionality that's tied to it, where it's more of a set it forget it type
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
So this so in going back to our use case of, I have 3,000 emails to go out on the first day of the month. This email this invoice that I'm showing here, if I were to go to review and send outside of QuickBooks or in QuickBooks, this is what we're talking about with the from address, right? Where you have this same thing, except it's, instead of it saying method.me, it's
Yeah.
intuit.com. So same thing is, it masks the email. There's no option inside of QuickBooks to authenticate your domain, so it doesn't give you that option now, but you do have this ability to add a Gmail address.
Okay.
Now, I think this is poorly worded just because it says add Gmail address, and I've seen a lot of grumblings about this, saying that, what do you mean Gmail address? That's a free thing, and I don't want to have my business name at gmail.com
Yeah.
with my from address. I want to have my business, me, at mybusinessname.com,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is the domain that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you do have a Google Workspace account and your emails are associated with that Google Workspace account, and you're authenticating your domain at the Gmail admin console,
Mm-hmm.
right, that is your, that situation, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I wish it would say add Gmail address or Google Workspace, or in like what you were showing there, where you just say Google
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to Gmail. But if you
Mm-hmm.
do have a Google Workspace account for your business, you can just click on add Gmail address, select the domain that you want it to be sent from, and that's where it will send to, right? Or it'll send it out of. So that is very similar to what you were talking about with, just authenticating your domain process in Method. So it is going to come from. Now, I don't know what limitations that has, but in this use case that we're talking about, they didn't use Gmail. They didn't use a Google account. So
Yeah.
this option outside of QuickBooks was not an option,
Yeah.
directly within QuickBooks, because there's another large company that works with email called Microsoft, right? And there's the, not to use their term, but there's teams of people who do both, right? Or do either or. So this is excluding all of those people that would be having an outlook.com email address, or a live, or all of the all of the email addresses that are associated with a Microsoft account.
Yeah.
So you don't have this option even at all. And in their case, that was nice and all, but they're not going to go set up a Google Workspace account just for the ability for this to be the from address, right?
For sure. For sure. Changing your email provider is very much similar to changing your accounting platform. There's just
Right.
that's a huge undertaking.
And it's going to take a lot more than just the
Just flip of a
changing
switch.
the text.
Yeah,
Right.
for
And
sure.
that's it's like you said, it's changing your accounting platform, it's changing your bank. That's a grudge purchase.
Yeah.
Either you're fed up with your existing provider, or you have a definite need to move. They're doing something that you can't do, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you look for these alternatives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is, I just want to make sure I check my notes here. There isn't a limit at all with the number, and I want to talk a little bit about other things that you can do. Like, you can build in other workflows. I think I was talking to you about another use case where it was a purchase order, where they're emailing purchase orders, and that you can add other attachments and do things like that as part of the email process, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Method is just extremely flexible. Like, all it takes is just a conversation of what you would like to have done. If there's a bottleneck in your process where it's just very manual when it comes to emailing, Method, it has full automation where it's very hands off. You can schedule it. It's called an app routine. So essentially, you just start an app routine. You schedule it for it to be daily, weekly, a specific day of the week, and it'll automatically just send those emails out to those vendors. And that's extremely powerful. When you couple that with emailing out of Method while authenticating your domain, really the options are endless with what you can do.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, Yusef, about and having this discussion about emailing out of QuickBooks and or Method, and the different options therein. I think we're ultimately gonna need to make a pretty hefty series out of these gaps, especially
Yeah.
when you're coming from desktop into QuickBooks Online. We talked about the advanced pricing and how that can be replicated inside of QuickBooks Online.
Yeah.
Now with the sending of emails out of, which answers more. There's more possibilities with Method than there is with QuickBooks. And if you're getting what you need right out of QuickBooks, great. If you need something else, you don't have to go back to desktop in order to have those functionalities. You can add or enhance your QuickBooks Online experience to kind of get the best of both worlds of those online cloud-based services that kind of work together, and they work. My trigger word is seamless, but Method is one of those things that is pretty seamless when it comes to the bidirectionality and integration between the two.
Oh yeah, it's I would say it's the best I've seen, and I know there's other platforms that do it as well, but it's a patented bilateral sync that was developed by the owner, and he was smart to patent it because it's incredible how quick you can see something on either end. I think that's one of their core capabilities for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I did there's a QR code if you're watching and you want to check out our blog about Method. I'm going to continue to add these things to that particular blog. So where you maybe have a gap, a feature gap inside of QuickBooks coming from desktop into QuickBooks Online, or just you're already in QuickBooks Online and you just don't have this functionality, and how Method can actually build on top of that. So we appreciate you all joining us here live today. You can always check us out on the Earmark app for your CPE needs. Just throw that QR code there so you can check out our channel on Earmark. And then we're also about to start our premier cohort in July about AI in accounting. So we're going to go from Mr. Rogers, fundamentals of what is, can you say AI? I knew you could, all the way to building your own AI chatbot or prompt library for your business or your practice. So it's a 4-week cohort. It's guided with myself and Ted McRae, who's a certified prompt specialist in the month of July, and then we'll have weekly follow-up sessions. So you'll be able to create a prompt and then we'll just have a group discussion about it. So it'll be a nice way to get yourself familiar with AI before somebody else does and then takes your client from you.
Yeah.
They've figured out how to do all this stuff.
Yeah. It's a rat race.
Yeah, it is. Well, Yusef, look forward to seeing you next time that we have you on the workshop, and we'll see everyone else next week on the Workshop Wednesday. Hope you all have a great day.
Bye.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and took away some valuable tips and strategies to enhance your bookkeeping practice. Remember, if you want to stay ahead in the world of bookkeeping and accounting, be sure to visit Schoolofbookkeeping.com. With a wide range of courses, resources, and expert guidance, you'll find everything you need to sharpen your skills and boost your career. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Your reviews help us reach more listeners and continue to bring you the best content every week. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover, reach out to us on social media or send us an email at support@schoolofbookkeeping.com. We love hearing from our listeners and are always looking for new ideas to explore. Thanks for tuning in to Workshop Wednesday. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep excelling in your bookkeeping journey. I'm Dan DeLong, and we'll see you next week.